time. Back to the 15-yard line by Taylor Wyndham. He got rocked. And Tim Tebow is down. Tim Tebow is supine. Tim Tebow is shaken up.
Every year, over 100,000 concussions occur in all levels of football. And 60% of these are from head-to-head collisions. In an impact lasting just 15 milliseconds, a player's head, on average, experiences almost 100 Gs of force. And collisions on special teams can result in forces of up to 190 Gs. In the NFL, the average speed of a head-to-head impact, the velocity of both heads combined, is 20 miles per hour, with the struck player's head decelerating 14 miles per hour. According to studies done by Sports Science's chief medical advisor, Dr. Basil Aish, this 15 millisecond impact is equivalent to getting smashed in the head with a sledgehammer. In the last 10 years, the average number of days a concussed player is out has more than doubled, and even improved helmet technology is only able to reduce an 80 G impact to 40 Gs, still several times when an F-16 pilot experiences, and more than enough to cause a concussion or neck fracture.
Symptoms of a concussion do not show themselves till up to 24 hours after the event. And when I was able to show a soldier 3 pictures of 3 brains, one normal brain of an individual, this normal brain using positron emission tomography looked like a furnace. It was all reds and yellows, all burning that energy. You put glucose in somebody's body using positron emission tomography, and they took a picture of an individual who had been comatose for 5 days in a hospital bed. Their brain was all dark purples and blues. The brain was shutting down, healing itself. Then the third picture was of a football player. And this football player had been injured with 2 minutes and 42 seconds to go in the first half. He was allowed to come out and play the second half of the game. And when he was changing out that night, a trainer came up to him and said, "Hey, listen, if you display any of the following symptoms the next morning, I want you to immediately go to the emergency room." You know the rest of the story. He did. He went to the emergency room. They took a picture of his brain using positron emission tomography, and I defy anybody to tell me the difference between the individual who was comatose for 5 days and the individual who walked into the emergency room and told the doctor about the symptoms that they were experiencing. Their brains looked identical. There's a belief that a lot of people have that if you just improve the helmets that soldiers wear, the helmets that football players wear, that you're going to solve this problem. To me, the helmet is never going to do anything but cause the problem to be greater, particularly when it comes to contact sports, because the helmet is often used as a weapon. It's used as the tool that causes the concussion. The brain is already inside a helmet called the skull. And the real damage that is done with traumatic brain injury is the movement, the acceleration of that brain inside that skull. So I don't believe that helmets are ever going to solve the problem. I think the NFL has taken some great strides in changing the rules. I wish the same would happen in hockey. I wish the same would happen in girls soccer. The only way that you are able to convince people that concussion or post-traumatic stress is a serious injury that must be treated and taken care of is through education. You've got to take the time to educate people. And you can't let sports writers be the ones that make the determination on whether or not an individual should play or not because of the performance that they have on a particular weekend. This is really serious stuff.
You mentioned the health of players, long-term health. I know that was such a critical part of the labor negotiation that happened. As we look forward, do you think that players who are playing now have a chance to leave the game even healthier than someone like you who has played over the last dozen years in the NFL?
Well, you know what is very important that that was the one that we talked about during this whole lockout because, you know, so many incidents happen when guys get injured during the season, they get injured during their careers, they're no longer playing, and then all of a sudden injuries begin to reoccur. You go through arthritis, you go through concussions that you may have had years ago. Now all of a sudden symptoms are kicking back in. Just things of that nature, for example, begin to reoccur, and now we're starting to.
I guess what I want to say.
This is Tony Dorsett losing his words.
Think about it. What I want to say.
It happens more frequently these days. This, he says, is how he got here, evading tacklers and scoring touchdowns in the National Football League, but not without a price, and not without some serious injuries, including to his brain.
It's kind of hard for me to figure out how it works, but you can see my front lobes. One of them is not getting as much oxygen as the other.
Now he's one of more than 300 former players suing the NFL. They say the league owes them.
It's like, they use you up. No matter what the circumstances are, it's all about winning games, football games, regardless, and they don't care because they figure, we got replacement factories, which are colleges. And so they just put you out there and, feed you to the wolves. And if you make it through, fine. If you don't, that's fine,
Dorsett was a star in Dallas in the 1970s and 80s. At the new Cowboys Stadium, along Legends Drive, you'll find his image, though no hints of the concussions, cracked wrist, or a particularly painful broken back.
We go in, and I'm in so much pain, and I'm just squealing. I'm squealing almost like a pig. It's like, every time I get hit, it was just the most excruciating pain you could ever imagine. So we'd be out on the practice field, and there would be times where if I move a certain way, it would catch, and it would I would have to stop in my footsteps, dead in my tracks, and tears would just start streaming down my face uncontrollably, because it was just the most excruciating pain I ever experienced. And the only thing our coaches and trainers would do, they would just like this. They would point, and they were pointing to the training room as like, go to the training room, get some treatment, come on back out here. So, and that's what I did. This one here will show you. You can see that portable cast. Right now, it concerns me quite a bit. You know, I have an 8-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old daughter. Obviously, I got my son and my 20-year-old daughter, but I don't want to get into the point where it turns into dementia, Alzheimer's. I don't want that.
The NFL declined to comment on specific allegations, but in the past has insisted that safety has long been a priority in the league. The players' claims, the NFL has said, stand in contrast to the league's actions to better protect players.
The players are making him or them richer. And it seems to me that because, just as a thank you to the players, they can at least take care of the health issues that the players are having during, obviously they do, and after they play football, which they don't. And that is the tragedy of this whole thing.
In other words, he hopes he and the other players will walk away with something. Martha Irvin, Associated Press, Frisco, Texas.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no country.